Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I'm glad that you could, whoever's out there. And Kim will be with me in a few minutes. She's on her way down. So today we're going to be talking about expectations and letting go of them. When you're doing all the things that you think you have to do, like you think you're writing everything down, you're doing affirmations, you're meditating, you're visualizing, and nothing seems to be turning out the way you expected them to. And that could be the problem. When you expect something, we're usually emotionally attached to that outcome. And being emotionally attached to an outcome can throw everything off, and I'll tell you why. You have to really think about what it is you want, what you're expecting, but really focus on how it makes you feel. Like if you get that thing to happen, what are you going to feel then? And what you're feeling, is it dependent on somebody or something? Because if you're looking elsewhere to feel joy or happiness or any of those things, then you're looking in the wrong place, first of all. And what you're picturing to happen in your expectations isn't going to necessarily match up with what you want to feel. And the good thing is that the universe always really does come through at the last minute, brings you what you want, but it's not always dressed up the way we expect it to look. But if the feeling is there, it just came in a different way, then that's what we have to be open for. Like, you know, if you're like, okay, this has to happen in order for me to be happy. This has to happen in order for me to buy a new house. This has to happen so that I can have a new car. Well, you got to start with really focusing on what it is you want. Do you want that feeling of the new car? Do you want that? Then you have to feel that. And eventually you're going to get the new car. It's just not going to be exactly in the timing that you thought. Maybe it's not even like the car that you thought. And hey, Kim, welcome.
Hello.
Hey, sweetie. How you doing today?
Sorry to interrupt your thought.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So if you let go of that emotional connection to how I'm going to feel when this happens, stop looking at exactly the way it's happening, because expectations are just thoughts. Mm-hmm. We're just thinking them. And you know how you get what you think, but it's really more what you feel. So if you're emotionally connected to something and it's not happening and it's not what you want to feel, then that's going to throw it off, because it's those vibrations that go out and bring back to you what it is you're looking for. And another little thing I'd like to bring up while we're talking about this is feeling guilty because we don't live up to other people's expectations. Well, there's the answer. It's somebody else's expectations. How are you supposed to live up to it? Oh, and what about the judgment about people that aren't living up to your expectations? What about that? Think about that for a minute. We're expecting other people to do the things that we want to do, or we're expecting other people to do things the way we do it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's kind of like when I teach feng shui and I go, you know, we have like a couple of sections for marriage where in Eastern feng shui in China, they choose like your children's partner, they choose all that stuff. But we don't. Could you imagine in our lives picking our children's spouses, or our parents picking ours even?
Right.
I did a fine job of that myself. Thank you very much. I didn't need anybody else's help.
Didn't need anybody else's help?
Yeah, it was all good. It's all good. So, in thinking about this, yes, it takes a little bit of patience. And yes, you might be doing all the right things. But expectations are an anticipation. It's something that we assume. And if you just kind of realize that things are going to happen, but not exactly like you pictured it, and you're still going to get what you need, or you're still going to get what you want, it actually teaches you a little bit of patience. And it also teaches you not to be disappointed when what you wanted to happen doesn't. And I think that the disappointment kind of sets you on like that other road, because then you start thinking all these negative things, and then you start focusing it on you. Oh, I'm not worthy of this. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I should have known better. don't let things that don't exactly fall in place set you off your course. Keep moving forward. You have to be the proactive one in keeping your life going towards the goals that you set or the goals that you want for yourself. Because nobody else and nothing else can bring you happiness and joy and gratitude and all these things. So be very specific. Write down your goals. Like, everybody writes down their New Year's resolutions, and then by the end of January, nobody's even looking at the list. You forgot you even wrote it. And then in July, you're like, oh, this year, oh, wait, I didn't even do last year's. Come on, we're all guilty of doing that, writing resolutions and then not doing it.
Yeah, but when they're not doing it, they're not focusing. You write it down one time. And a big idea to use your goals is to read them every single day.
Exactly.
Read them out loud. See how they feel. And if they don't feel good to you, or if you don't feel, either if you're not on track for them, or they don't feel good to you, you can change them. It's not set in stone. That's why I love Mondays and new moons and full moons and every day that's a new day, because you can change that feeling today in the moment and your goal.
And by now, you really ought to know about using the energies of the universe to make that magic happen in your life. And if you're still poo-pooing using a full moon to release or using a new moon to start a new goal, then you're missing out. And you can poo-poo this all you want, and you can stick to your beliefs all you want, but sticking to your beliefs and you're still not where you want, what does that tell you? Because I know over the last couple years, I truly am really where I want to be, happy in my life. And I thought about this when I was writing today about what I wanted to say. And that is, no matter what has happened in the last 10 years, personally in my life, I never strayed from doing what I do, loving what I do, and the universe has really rewarded me to let me have a place or a center where I'm doing something I love. And what was my mission? My mission was to be able to help as many people as I can, to show them that they can live a better life, a healthy life, and really, I am healthy, I am happy. And to be able to get up every day and serve in the way that I do, for me, I can't think of a greater thing. I really can't think of a better thing to feel than what I do. And it's from following all of these things and staying positive when the negative happens, and keep looking forward.
Yes.
You can't let those stones in the road stop you from going forward. Pick them up and collect them.
Yeah, change your perception. That was one of the things when Phyllis mentioned the topic today. One of the reasons why I do daily research on this topic, or what it is that I feel, I really take a conscious moment every morning and think, kind of ask, what do I need to know today? How can I change what's not feeling good? And all these things. It's a daily thing, just like your prayer. I think the idea of the Lord's Prayer is to get you in the mindset of, give me my daily bread and, forgive my trespasses. All the things that we teach in meditation and expectations and everything is really just getting in a routine of deciding what you want, how you want to feel, and then how to act on it. And if it's happening the same way every day, then you need to change it, which is why I love coming here every week. It's kind of like my centering, because it smells so good in here, and it's like sage, so we're cleansing ourselves. But it helps me redirect and take analysis of where my week's headed. And so there's not a day in the week that really spins out, because every single day in one way or another, I get a chance to stop and take a look at it and choose how I want to feel in the next moment.
Right, and don't forget the vibrations of your thoughts. We touched on this a while ago, and that's huge, because remember, love is 1,000, hate is 100. If you're moving towards your goals and everything's going along great, and then a little thing happens and it sets you back a little bit and things aren't looking exactly like the way you thought they were going to be, that moment of switching your thoughts will bring your vibrations in that moment down to where you kind of have to start over again thinking of like where you want to go, because you just offset your order to the universe.
Yeah.
And you have to learn to live in reality. Things change every day. Your body changes 144,000 times in a day. It has 144,000 things that it does, whatever, you know. If you're not ready to change and go with change, then you're just stuck. You're going to be stuck. If you're not happy, you're not going to be happy. If you're not ready to keep the momentum going, no matter what comes into your path, and I know things happen, and I know things can be really bad, and I know what it's like to feel hopeless, and I only stay there for like a second, and I mean that. We all have those eerie thoughts that we never think we would have, and even if it's just for a second or two, you gotta like let go and understand that the universe, coupled with reality, is impersonal. The universe hears the thing, or the universe knows the feeling that you want to match. Well, if things go wrong and you stumble on it too long and you're like sticking there just because you stumble out, then guess what? You're going to stay there. You have to, the minute something goes wrong, deal with it, get over it, and keep moving forward. Keep seeing your goals and feeling what it's going to feel like when that happens. Because as much as I resisted opening a place and not working from my home anymore, look where I am. Because my thoughts started to change as my children got older. And I started to think, well, I could reach more people. There would be foot traffic. I'm really a referral business. Like I'm really depend on referrals because that's how my business happened. And here I am. I mean, here I am. And once I started looking and got the, picture in my head of what I wanted it to look like, feel like, be like, even down to the town I wanted it to be in Ambler. And I came back here because I used to have a business with my dad. And I remembered the feeling of working with him and having him around. And I knew if I came back to Ambler that he'd be around. But I already knew he was going to always be around with me anyway. So, but it's still like, a plus. So it was my feeling of how I was going to be when I got here and what it was going to mean to me. And that's exactly what's happening. And I don't think I would stray a little bit. I mean, I want to do what I'm doing and I want to do more of it.
Yeah, it's a great place to be. So you're doing good. You're doing good, Kate.
Thank you. So
I do actually want to touch too on that, the feelings that you brought up about guilt, blame, and judgment. They are very low vibrating feelings, and as long as you're there, if you're feeling guilty for doing something, that's a huge reason why you're not getting to those next places, because you're hovering there. So when you're feeling that, you have to realize why, and then realize to let that go.
Well, guilt usually happens because you're thinking about what somebody else is thinking about what you did, and then you
People
feel
don't know
guilty
that.
because they don't agree with you or they don't think it's the
Yeah.
right thing to do.
Right.
What are you thinking?
Yeah.
I know there's not a day I get up and I program myself to do something mean to somebody that day, or I don't think anybody's intentions are to do mean things.
Right.
I think that, and you see this, quote all over the place about how hurt people hurt people.
Right.
But it's because they're so lost in their own hurt and anger and not letting that stuff go that they really don't know anything else but that feeling, and they want everybody to feel that feeling.
Yeah.
So these are the kind of people who have never changed their life, have never changed their behavior for the better, have never done anything to meet a vibration that would bring them good things. That's for them to learn. This is the path that they chose. At some point, you need to change. Like my dad used to say, you gotta stop the bleeding somewhere.
It's perception. If you take an outside look at what you're actually experiencing, change the perception, and everything will change.
Yeah, take a really good look at the whole situation and really figure out if you're emotionally attached to the outcome, why you are. What is it that you need? And if it's that you need to have those feelings, those high vibrating feelings, well, guess what? It's not going to be found out here anyway. So you need to change your thoughts, to change what you're feeling, to change what you're putting out. And it's, remember, the universe is going to match the feeling. It doesn't hear want it, don't want it. They hear the outcome. I know when I get to the mall today, I'm going to get a parking spot, and parking spot. Well, guess what? It didn't hear you want one or you don't want. So guess what? See yourself pulling into the parking lot, and that's
in the
it.
front row.
See yourself. See you got somebody pulling out right in the front, as bitter cold as it is today, and you want that close-up parking spot today. All you got to do is think like you're going to have it. You're going to have it.
My daughter's here in our studio audience, and as Phyllis is saying it, Megan goes, "Must be in the front row," because that's what I say every single time we go and park, and we always get a front row spot, and she does it.
That is for sure.
That's really funny.
So here's some tips. Like think of your desired outcome. Write it down. Be really clear in what you want, and make sure that you really want what you think you want. We talked about that last week for sure. So see it happen. See it happen, because when you see it happen, you visualize yourself in that house you want. You visualize that self with that person that you want. You visualize yourself in that business that you want. You get that feeling. I was talking to somebody last night about something that she's taking. She tried some CBD. She said she felt wonderful, and all of a sudden she said, I feel this whole feeling in my body while you're saying it to me. Well, the reason she was feeling it when I said it to her is because that whole idea of what she was going to feel resonated with her energy, and she felt it. So when she got it, she felt what she was feeling she was going to feel. And I know you understand that, what I just said. But okay, so write down and be very clear about what you want. Make sure you want what you really think you want. Notice the feeling. The feeling is going to come, and you're going to receive the feeling of the outcome that you wanted, but it may not be exactly what you want, which is what we said. If the feeling is happiness, if the feeling is joy, if the feeling is love, if the feeling is gratitude, then that's what you're going to get. So it's the emotional attachment to the feeling of what it's going to do for you, because it's the feeling of things that makes us want something or stay away from something. It's our feeling that brings us joy or makes us resist allowing it to happen. So
Just as you're saying that, I'm thinking more about our analogy of must be in the front row. We expect, and Megan, I want you to make sure you understand this too. It's an expectation that we have that we're going to get a front row spot. We may not get the front row. We might get number
Everybody.
3. We might get the 3rd spot, and then we're still feeling it because we're like, yay, we're not all the way in the back of the parking lot at the plaza. So that's all. That's expectations. It's not a serious feeling, and at the end of the day, if we had to park somewhere farther, we'll get over it. But it's all of that in a very simplistic way. We have an expectation. We have a feeling like, yay, when it happens and we get our spot. So all of that is kind of simply looking at your explanation.
yeah, and I also think that a lot of times we let things disappoint us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not really the cause of our disappointment. It's just like we're focusing on that and bringing other disappointments or angers that we have to that thing. So maybe practice these things for one day. Practice them for one day. Anything you do for 21 days becomes a habit. So if every day for 21 days you just get up and practice being kind, think of one kind thing you're going to do. Think of one gift you're going to give somebody, and it doesn't have to be a physical gift. It can just be a compliment or opening the door for somebody. Today, somebody just being nice is a gift. I know that when I opened here, I really did write it down, and I wrote it on a little note, and I put it in this little box in a drawer that was on the wall in my office at my house in the relationship future partnership section. And here I am according to that note. And even though I forgot that I wrote the note down, my focus was still, where do I want to be? How am I going to reach other people? And I have to say that with day-to-day life and things that can pop up, I really am I'm healthy. I'm happy doing what I do. I know that I'm helping a lot of people. And to me, That is the biggest reward, is to know that somebody walked out of here feeling better, whether it was what I do or, what Giuseppe does, or the people that work, out of here, whether it was a reading with Karen that brought somebody to some clarity, or working with Linda, or doing a past life regression with Kim, finding out, what we do every Wednesday. Just knowing that even one person learned about really going within to find our happiness and find joy, that to me is like $1 million in the bank. $1 million in the bank.
Yeah, I really want to stress too, as you said, even about resolutions. Really, if you're going to, a big reason why we're starting all this now is so that you're in preparation for everything that you want to manifest. And if it's not feeling that, if you're not having the expectation it's really going to happen, or if you're really not feeling it, if you're doubting it in any way,
right,
find out why.
Huge.
Take a minute and find out why. Chances are it's a limiting belief, something that, whether the judgment or the guilt, is bringing that about, something like family-wise. And really telling you, I do this every day. And I'm really glad that I have Phyllis to be like, that this is like normalizing, because I do this every day. But at the end of the day, I know I'm going to get what I want in life. And if it's taking me a little bit longer some days, I also know that my kids are here watching my example of what I'm doing, and hopefully they'll be able to grasp a hold of it a little bit sooner than I was able to, and really be able to make the kind of life, and know that you can, and know that the source, the being, God, wants you to have what it is that you want to have. And you're here made in the image and likeness. Like, you have this gift, it's inside of you. And don't judge yourself or anyone else. The more you can bring yourself back into just yourself, your own containment, and make the decision to move forward, and you have support. This is a great resource to know. I'm so grateful you guys are here today, but you can really come in here and be like, what were you talking about, or text us, or call, whatever, and get the information.
Yeah, we welcome questions, and we welcome the interaction and everything
today,
with you.
Which is awesome.
We absolutely really do, and we actually have live people here today, which is
great.
awesome. We're really glad. We love that.
It's great.
And excuse me, but I left out Peggy when I was talking about everybody that's like here, and Marissa and Christy. So I didn't mean to leave anybody out, but
I want to say hi to Daniela Souza, who owns Fiend in Conshohocken, where I work. We did some great charity work together, so thanks for joining us. And Anne-Marie, my very good friend and my running buddy. So for all the other people that we all know, I'm so grateful you're all here. It's great. Barb. Haven't seen Barb in a while.
Barb's here.
Yeah, Barb. Hi, Barb.
So basically, the point we want to get across today is about letting go of your expectations. And by doing that, in order to do that, you really have to kind of let go of your emotional attachment to outcomes of things. Mm-hmm. And as hard as it may sound, if you really write things down and you really get in touch with the inner you of what really wants these things, you may wind up changing your goals, because you find out that, happiness isn't found outside. Happiness isn't from someone else. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs love. Everybody needs to be loved. And it really starts with loving yourself first, and then you bring that to you. And I really feel like I'm surrounded by love. I'm surrounded by good people. It doesn't mean that other energies don't come in, but you just learn to deal and to move on. And quite honestly, I think that every lesson in the other direction kind of teaches you what you don't want and what you don't want to be. And it really makes more clear your desires, and to give you a better look at yourself about how you're thinking, how you're talking, how you're acting to people, how you're treating people. And the sooner you start living in reality, the sooner things just start falling into place. Let be what is, let go what goes, let in what stays, and the rest is just going to fall in place.
Yep.
Really.
It's gonna be awesome. A lot
So-
of awesome stuff going on.
I mean, like, we've really been practicing this stuff we tell you every week. So we're not doing it 100% of the time, but we're human too. There's this human side, okay? But, you know, in following what we've shared with you, and that's why we're doing this, to share with you, because it has really helped us in so many ways.
Yeah.
And, you know, to be where we are and happy.
Yep.
And we want you to be happy. All right.
So we're gonna wrap up.
Yeah, and we hope you enjoyed this today, and we will see you next week.
And I do want to
Lots of
just
love.
say, if everyone would, you know, send your prayers and positive energy. There was a very tragic fire this morning in Schwanksville, and
So
I know there was a lot of
America.
tragedy there. So
I'm
just
sorry.
sending prayers to that. Yes, for sure. And for everyone else, please have a safe week and a fulfilling week.
Yeah, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Yes.
Love you.
Love you.